Liverpool made it 2 wins from 2 versus Athletic Club in a double header of friendly matches at Anfield. The second was yesterday, it finished 3-2, and it was a strong, if not first choice lineup that we got to see from Arne Slot. We got to see some debuts from Liverpool's new recruits as well. We welcome in Beth Lindop. Aage Fjortoft is also with us. Beth, let me start about that lineup against Athletic Club. No Isak in that, obviously. If that's to be the case, is that the lineup we'll be seeing, do you think, next season from Liverpool?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty much as close to a strong 11, the strongest 11 as Arne Slot could field yesterday. He was out without Virgil van Dijk, who was out with illness. Connor Bradley as well, the defender, was out with an injury. So both of those players, I think, could come in. Alexis McAllister played in the earlier game as well. So you would expect that he'll come back into the side, possibly in time for the Community Shield. If not, then in time for the start of the season. He's still working his way back to full fitness after injury. So there's maybe one or two little tweaks that Arne Slot could make there. But on the whole, that's probably Liverpool's strongest side at the moment. And, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by how sharp they look. I agree with the guys. You can't judge too much from pre-season, but from what I've seen so far from Liverpool, they do look really slick, and the new signings seem to have bedded in pretty well already.
Do you like how that side looks?
I just like Liverpool squad in general. Yeah. I like Arsenal squad, to be fair. They've spent well. I think it's going to be a great head-to-head, whether City and Chelsea jump back in, particularly City. Maybe Chelsea, depending on their consistency. People, I think, get a little carried away with the Club World Cup. But the one thing for Liverpool is they are, every week now, home and away, they are the team that everybody wants to beat. Last year when they started the season, when Arne Slot came in, it's Liverpool Football Club, they're huge and we get all that and they have great players. But they were third favourites to win the league last year. I think, it was Arsenal and City, and then Liverpool can't win it. They've got a new manager coming in, he's never been in the Premier League before and all that sort of nonsense. And they put that to bed very quickly. They were the best team by far, by a stretch. Played some great stuff, but they are now the team to beat. So every week, weekend, and a Tuesday or Wednesday, and a weekend again, home and away, they're the team that everybody wants to knock off. So that's a different level for them, I think. And that's what they've just brought on themselves. They were so good last year in the Premier League that wherever they go this year, teams are either going to just, sit really deep against them, they're just going to be panicking about doing this. And so it might be a slightly different nugget for them this year, but I like the manager. I think it's a great squad. They've spent a lot of money because they didn't do that in the last couple of years, so they've sort of saved themselves a little bit, and they look very, very strong. So yeah, I like the look of them. I don't think they're going to go away. And if Arsenal or City are going to win the league, they're going to have to play well. But yeah, that's a really, really good looking Liverpool squad.
You had that same reaction when I put that question to Craig.
I absolutely. And the thing is, you look at Liverpool last season and how they dominated the league. And yes, I know it was an off-season for Manchester City. We see what they look like. But Liverpool were by far and away the best team in the league last year. And they have had a hell of a pre-season. Spending to back that up. But to Beth's point, as long as those new signings bed in, Florian Wirtz in particular, Ekitike up front, he's young. You expect a little bit of a roller coaster from him in terms of form. But whether Arne Slot goes with a front three or front four with Ekitike, it really is a fearsome lineup. I just feel that this version of Liverpool, on paper, we haven't kicked a ball yet, on paper is so much better than the Liverpool of last season. And that's a worrying aspect for the rest of the league to consider.
Beth, as you know, we love to tell you what Stevie Nicol said on this show. One thing he said yesterday was that if Isak's not to come, he would be happy with Darwin Nunez sticking around. Is there any chance that does happen?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that Nunez is still with the squad, to be honest, and played a big part yesterday. He played in the first game of the afternoon against Athletic Club, so he's still very much involved in the squad. There's been interest in him all summer. I would say that, I'm 90% sure he will move on, but it is just where he moves on to and whether a fee comes in for him. We know that there's been interest from Saudi, who you would imagine would be prepared to pay probably the highest amount of any potential suitor. There was interest from Italy earlier in the window, but it's whether they could afford him. So I think those details will need to be right for Liverpool to let him go. But I think for both the players player and the club, the best thing for him would probably be to move on. That said, he gets a goal yesterday, so who knows? Maybe it could be fourth season lucky for him. But no, I think there's sort of the Nunez experiment at Liverpool now. I think for both the player and the club, the best thing would be for a fresh chapter, I think.
Well, that's a statement, isn't it, from Stevie? If they don't get Alexander Isak, he'll be happy for Darwin Nunez to hang around. I mean,
I feel like he's always got a bit of a soft spot for Darwin Nunez, though, Stevie, right?
Well, it's nothing to do with soft spots. If they don't get Alexander Isak and they lose Darwin Nunez, then
it's not great. But then to that point, though, Jan, is Darwin Nunez okay sticking around and being a squad player when he probably could get more minutes elsewhere?
No, but I don't think he should. I don't think it's a part of the strategy. Remember, when we're talking about how good they look on the pitch now, it's also how good they look off the pitch. I mean, the strategy they're having now. Remember back in the days when Jurgen Klopp had to ask his mate from Germany to come in and help him, and that didn't work out. Last season, there were 3 players who were the best players who could leave on a free. And Darwin Nunez, that is a part of the strategy to get in money. They got 75 million euros for Diaz, and as Beth is saying, there's some fees can come in from the Saudis, so that means that they can get up to 150, 160 million euro for 2 players who are not secure in for a place in the team. So I think that although they look very well good on the pitch, at the moment they look even better outside how this club is run. If you compare it with some other clubs in England, it was like last season was a bonus season. I don't think even Liverpool thought they're going to win the league last season. I thought they thought that would be a season that they put themselves into top 4, and then they're going to attack this season. And now they're here, a reigning champion, and they are attacking again. Give them a broader squad, and they give Diaz and Nunez away. That is good management.
And
I mean, he's had enough chances, isn't he, Darwin Nunez? I mean, you could not fault him for endeavour.
No.
You could not fault him for fighting and running and he scored some great goals, but he just was never consistent enough for a football club that has the ambitions and has the standards that Liverpool has. And that's unfortunate. And he's not the first and he's not the last. And I do agree with everybody here that I think his time is somewhere else. The big question is, if they don't get the player coming in, will they still sell Nunez to get the money when that's another man down? I mean, the transfer window has still got a little bit to run, so they could do some other business if Isak is not the player coming in. But in terms of his Liverpool career, yeah, I mean, he's had enough chances, and I think he's proven that he was never going to be anything other than a player who come on for 15, 20 minutes as a bit of a battering ram at the end of the game, or played in the Carabao Cup to give the others a rest. And that's unfortunate, because his last season in particular at Benfica was very, very good.
As a former midfielder, I wanted to ask you, because obviously there's a lot more pressure on Liverpool this season. When you look at Dominik Szoboszlai, we just saw him in that 11 there. How much pressure's on him this season to be that defensive linchpin?
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure on him to have his spot in the team. Because I think, have I missed something? But, you know, McAllister's going to be around. And I think the preferred partnership there is probably Gravenberch and McAllister, with potentially Wirtz as the number 10. And Szoboszlai is a player that does a little bit of everything. He's an old-fashioned dynamic box-to-box midfielder, but he likes getting forward. And even though as good a player as he is, experienced Hungarian international, he's the captain of his country, he was a little in and out last year at Liverpool before, you know, Florian Wirtz comes in. And we know how good a season, which was stunning really, the season that Gravenberch had, bearing in mind how he'd performed before, that Arne Slot came in and saw something different in him, and the whole game changed. And so I think Szoboszlai is a big player for them. I think this midfield is an excellent midfield, but I think he's going to have to play well just to be in this team. Unless Florian Wirtz moves position and they play with Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai, then one of those 3 is going to have to miss out. And I think, for the most part, it's probably going to be him.
Well, you wonder if Florian Wirtz is going to be able to play in whatever position he wants to. This is him on his role, on being, on having that freedom under Arne Slot. He said, I'm a player who needs freedom on the pitch, and the manager gives that to me. Of course, I have to respect the position and the players around me, but I try to give my best on the pitch and find the right places. I have the freedom to do that. Now, obviously, having the freedom sounds great in theory. There's a lot of trust involved there. But we've seen things like this, similar to this, Jan, with Real Madrid under Ancelotti, who gives his players that freedom to express themselves. Is there a fine line in having that freedom and having a more set role under a manager?
That is a good observation of what they do. The thing is that you saw by Liverpool, and you see with this squad of Liverpool, there are a lot of players who can play in different positions. That is a part of their game. And I was thinking, as you can see, okay, my Middlesbrough shirt behind me. Remember when we got Juninho? Yeah, and we got Juninho, and Brian Robson just said, just go out there and have fun, find that space between the midfield and the back four of the opposition team. It's not that easy nowadays because everything is more analysed. But Florian Wirtz is a street footballer. I think it's one of those things that won him over, that Arne Slot told him that this is how we play. I want you to be an in and out player. You can be in and out striker. You can be a number 10. You can play left at our club, and still you will have people around you that secure your position. So I think that Arne Slot absolutely can put him into that position, and you can't limit Florian Wirtz. That kind of player can't be limited through a tactical defined kind of thing. But even Alonso found places for him, learned him things, got him to be disciplined in that position. He does that also with Germany. He can just not be a guy running around, but he fits so perfectly to Liverpool, and all the compliment to both Team Wirtz to see that, and Liverpool to define that this player will make us better.
Jan, is he going to get stuck in and do the dirty work then? Is that what you're saying? Will he do that too?
Is there a lot of dirty work done at Liverpool for the back top people? They were talking about people who don't know. Craig called garbage. There's garbage things that need to be done, and they got enough players doing that. Florian Wirtz don't have to do that, but he's disciplined enough. That my point being that you can't win the league with Bayer Leverkusen. You can't play with Germany if you are just a player going forward. Often these players who are so tactically good, they find a way to just do what they have to do to not play with 10 when the opposition got the ball. So I'm not worried about that at all.
Liverpool are not signing players that it's all about them. They sign players that it's about their talent, yes, and what they bring to the team, but it's about their ability to sort of gel with the others within that squad. They did not go on the run that they went on, particularly in the first half of last year. That's when they blew the rest of the Premier League away. We can talk about City falling off and Arsenal's injuries and all that sort of stuff, and those things happen, but Liverpool blew them away by Christmas, right? And then even Liverpool were able to take their foot off the gas, but they did not do that by carrying people. They didn't, even for Mo Salah, the superstar that he is, he still has to do his tracking back to help out Alexander-Arnold as it was. So the players have to come in and they know their job. There is a structure within this Liverpool team, and everybody has got a job to do, both offensively and defensively, whether it's Florian Wirtz or Gakpo or whoever it is. It doesn't matter. And I think that's what they've got. I mean, do some players work harder and are more aggressive than others? Yeah, but that's why you have midfielders behind. And I don't think we'll be... I'll be surprised if we're sitting here next season or when the season starts talking about Florian Wirtz's lack of work rate. I don't think that'll be something that... I mean, obviously we cover Real Madrid a lot and we talk about it a lot, and that's kind of the different approach where they just try and sign these superstars who, like Vinicius Junior and Kylian Mbappe, who think it's all about them and the rest can go and just do the dirty work for them. That's not the approach at Liverpool and some of the other clubs, and I don't think we're going to see it this season.
Listen, I agree. Listen, I think Florian Wirtz is an incredible player, but to the statement and about him being free, as an attacking player, you can play with that freedom, and it just comes down to that, to your understanding of those players who make up the rest of the front three or front four, as it were. But defensively, surely, even as a player who's given freedom going forward, you have to be far more disciplined going back. I think while it's easy to draw comparisons with Leverkusen, but Leverkusen was more built around Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz was the star of that team. You come in and you earn that right at Liverpool, not by a price tag. You earn that by performances on the park. And again, it's pre-season, but there's no suggestion that there's a lack of understanding between him and the quality that he has around him up front. But particularly in the Champions League, you go deep in the Champions League, it is about a lot about that discipline defensively. You mentioned Ancelotti and Real Madrid. I thought a couple of seasons ago, in that second half of the season Champions League run, that's when you saw Vinicius Jr. at his best in terms of going forward and that freedom he played for, but also that understanding of what he had to do coming back defensively, and Bellingham kind of covering that side for him. Those are the telling times for Liverpool at the higher end of the competition, because while you could be as free as you want defensively for maybe 25, 30 of 38 Premier League games, you get into the second half of the Champions League, you come up against the likes of PSG, etc. You're going to be found out if you aren't disciplined defensively.
When Arne Slot first came in, when he came in last year, if he's taken off Mo Salah and he's taken off Diaz and these players, and the crowd said, what the hell is this guy doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. You know, if it wasn't going right and if things weren't going swimmingly and he was making these big changes, where he's manoeuvred himself into a position, I know he was successful in Holland, but we're talking about England here, he manoeuvred himself into a position with the season that they had last year that he's in such a strong position. He can make those decisions. If players are not performing, he can take the Mo Salahs off. He can take the Florian Wirtz off. He's not working hard enough. He's not doing this or doing that. He can make changes. They have a big enough squad to do so. They have a good enough squad to be able to make those changes. The manager has earned the respect to make those decisions and not be questioned about he doesn't know what he's doing, because he clearly does. And so what they did last year, I think, has given the club so much confidence in the manager, because we never know. You know, Xabi Alonso's in at Real Madrid this year after this great success in Germany. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to go. I mean, I know it's a bit of a mess there at times, but we just don't know. We didn't know what Arne Slot was going to bring to Liverpool, because Jurgen Klopp was such a sort of legendary figure at the club. It was Klopp's team. It became Klopp's club for quite a few years, and it sort of mirrored him, the energy and the drive and the passion. And so it was a setback for everybody, whether it's pundits or journalists or supporters, and say, well, what is Arne Slot going to bring to the Premier League? What's he going to bring to Liverpool? And I think we got our answer, and some.
Yes, absolutely. Beth, thank you so much for being with us. We'll no doubt be talking to you again very soon about some of these topics to do with Liverpool. And she will be at the Liverpool game against Crystal Palace, the FA Community Shield, Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern on ESPN+.